Bills Mafia, buckle up, because Thursday night might be the most important meaningless game of the entire year. The Buffalo Bills are sitting pretty at 2-0 in the preseason. 60 points scored, only 21 allowed. On paper, everything looks perfect. But football doesn't care about your record when the calendar flips to cutdown day. And that's exactly what's staring this Bills roster in the face. One more preseason game. One more chance to prove you belong. And after Thursday night, when the Pittsburgh Steelers roll into Highmark Stadium, the fun and games are over. The Bills have to get serious, brutally, coldly serious about who makes the final 53. For most of this roster, this is just another Thursday. But for a handful of players, this is life or death. This is the last audition before the credits roll on their NFL dream, at least in Buffalo. And there is one storyline burning hotter than any other heading into this one: the safety room. Geno Stone versus Damar Hamlin. If the Bills only have room for one of them, Thursday night could be the most consequential preseason game of Hamlin's entire career. Let's start there, because this is the storyline Bills Mafia cannot stop talking about. Damar Hamlin, the same Damar Hamlin whose story became bigger than football itself, is fighting for his roster spot. And it's not just Geno Stone he's up against. It's Cole Bishop, the team's high draft pick from a couple years back. It's Jalen Kilgore, the rookie the Bills spent a draft pick on just months ago. The safety room is crowded, and somebody is walking away disappointed. According to those close to the situation, Hamlin needs to deliver the best performance of his entire preseason on Thursday night. Not a good game. Not a solid game. The best game. Make the tackles. Make the plays. Give the coaching staff no choice but to keep him around. Because right now, the whispers say he might be the odd man out. Imagine that storyline. The man who became a symbol of resilience for an entire league, fighting just to keep his jersey in Buffalo. Bills Mafia, this is must-watch television. Now let's cross the field, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with drama of their own, and it's a lot messier than a position battle. Joey Porter Jr. He's supposed to be a foundational piece of that Steelers defense. Instead, he's stuck in a standoff with the front office, and the word being used to describe it isn't negotiation. It's impasse. And when you actually dig into what that word means here, it's not pretty for Pittsburgh. Sources close to the situation say there hasn't even been a real offer on the table yet. Not a lowball offer. Not a starting point. Nothing. The Steelers, according to people familiar with the talks, apparently want to see him back on the field first before they open up the checkbook. Here's the problem with that logic. Bills Mafia and Steelers fans, you know this too. The Steelers didn't make Nick Herbig prove himself on the field before locking him into a 4-year, $100 million extension this spring. Herbig wasn't even participating in off-season workouts, and he still got paid. So why is Joey Porter Jr. being held to a different standard? Everybody around the league knows exactly what's coming when Porter Jr. finally does sign a new deal. He's going to become the highest-paid cornerback in football. And it's looking more and more like the Steelers simply aren't ready to commit to that number yet. That's not an impasse, that's a standoff. And everybody knows the Steelers have a long-standing, ironclad policy. They do not negotiate contracts during the regular season, period. So the clock is ticking loudly on this one. If a deal doesn't get done before week 1, don't be shocked if the trade rumors that are already swirling around the league start to get very, very real. Teams around the NFL are reportedly circling, wondering if Pittsburgh might be willing to move on. And when a talented young cornerback like this gets traded before the season, it's not for a bag of chips, it's for a first-round pick. Maybe more. Keep an eye on this one, because it could blow up at any moment. Now let's talk quarterbacks, because Pittsburgh's situation behind Aaron Rodgers is turning into one of the more fascinating subplots of the entire preseason. 4 quarterbacks. 4. Aaron Rodgers, the 42-year-old future Hall of Famer who treats the preseason like it doesn't exist. Mason Rudolph, the steady veteran who looks like a lock for the backup job. And then 2 young arms, Will Howard and Drew Aller, fighting it out for what might be the final spot in that room. In the most recent preseason outing, a shutout loss to the Jets, Howard and Aller got all the reps, and neither one exactly lit the world on fire. Will Howard threw 2 costly interceptions. Drew Aller completed less than half of his passes. Not exactly a highlight reel for either guy. But here's the twist. Even with those rough numbers, insiders believe the Steelers were already leaning toward keeping all 4 quarterbacks on the roster before that game ever happened, and that thinking probably hasn't changed. Why? Because Mike McCarthy's job isn't just to win now with Aaron Rodgers under center. It's to figure out who the quarterback of the future is going to be. Cutting one of these young guys loose to the practice squad is risky. Any other team in the league could scoop him up in a heartbeat. So the safer bet, even if it's crowded, is to hang on to both Howard and Aller and let this thing play out over a full season. Still, make no mistake, the pressure is mounting on Will Howard specifically. He was drafted before Drew Aller became Mike McCarthy's own personal pick in the draft this year, and that matters. When your head coach personally selects a quarterback, that guy tends to get a longer leash. Howard, meanwhile, is coming off a rookie season that got cut short by injury, so he hasn't even had a real chance to prove what he can do. He needed a big final preseason performance to change the conversation, and instead, Week 2 left him with 2 interceptions and a lot of questions. Thursday night against Buffalo is looking like his last real chance to swing the momentum back in his favor before roster cuts come down. And speaking of Aaron Rodgers, let's address the elephant in the room. The man simply does not care about preseason football. In his own words, more or less, if he plays, great. If he doesn't, also great. That's Rodgers being Rodgers, a guy who's earned the right to treat these games like glorified practice. But there's a real argument that his complete absence from preseason action could be a problem, not for him personally, but for the other 10 guys trying to build chemistry around him. This is a brand new offense in Pittsburgh. Arthur Smith is gone. Mike McCarthy has brought in his own system from scratch. And when your franchise quarterback hasn't taken a single live preseason snap to build rhythm and timing with his new weapons, that's a gamble. If the Steelers come out of the gate rusty in September, you can bet everyone will point right back to this decision. And Pittsburgh doesn't exactly get to ease into the season either. Their schedule opens with a home game against Atlanta, winnable, sure, but right behind it comes New England, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. 2 divisional matchups packed into the first month of the season. There is zero room for a slow start. Now let's flip back to Buffalo, because this Bills team feels like an entirely different animal this year, and it starts at the very top with new head coach Joe Brady. Brady isn't a total stranger to this locker room. He was the offensive coordinator here for the past couple of seasons before getting the promotion to head coach. But according to players who've been around both regimes, the vibe in Orchard Park has completely transformed. Left tackle Deion Dawkins put it about as bluntly as you possibly can. This is a whole different vibe of team. Former head coach Sean McDermott ran things with a more militant, buttoned-up style. Joe Brady? Loose, confident, swagged-up South Florida energy walking through the building. Picture a head coach strolling the practice facility in a t-shirt, shorts, and a gold rope chain, rain, shine, or freezing cold. It doesn't matter. That's the new face of the Buffalo Bills. But it's not just about vibes. Brady has been preaching one specific idea to this entire roster: treat this like year one. Don't ride on what this team has already accomplished. Build something new. And that message appears to be resonating directly with Josh Allen, who reportedly looks looser, quicker, and more explosive through camp than he has in recent memory. A massive piece of that puzzle is the newest weapon in Allen's arsenal, DJ Moore, acquired in a trade with the Chicago Bears this offseason. Here's the fascinating wrinkle. Moore's best statistical seasons of his career came when Joe Brady was calling plays for him back in Carolina. So this isn't some random reunion. This is a coach and a receiver who already know exactly how to unlock each other's potential, now paired with one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in football. Every single day in camp, that Allen to Moore connection reportedly keeps getting sharper. Moore himself has talked about the two of them learning they don't need to be perfect with each other. They're playmakers first. The route doesn't have to be textbook, the throw doesn't have to be flawless, just win the matchup, beat man coverage, and let the chemistry take over. If that connection is real, it could be the exact ingredient that helps take pressure off Josh Allen come playoff time, when he's historically had to do absolutely everything himself. And don't sleep on the run game either. Pair this receiving core with James Cook still churning out yards on the ground, and Buffalo's offense is shaping up to be one of the most dangerous units in the entire NFL. Which brings us to the pressure. And Bills Mafia, this pressure is real. Around the league, analysts are struggling to remember the last time a first-year head coach walked into a job with Super Bowl or bust expectations already stacked on his shoulders. But that's exactly where Joe Brady finds himself. Compare it to the coaching class from a year ago. Mike Vrabel, Liam Cohen, Ben Johnson, all of them made big first-year jumps. But they were also inheriting teams that had struggled the year before. Buffalo isn't in that category. This Bills team went 12-5 last season. This is a team that was one stop away, one single defensive stop in that AFC divisional round game against Denver from advancing to play the New England Patriots for a trip to the Super Bowl. There is no rebuilding grace period here. The expectation in Orchard Park right now is simple, win it all, or the season is a disappointment. Now let's zoom in on the players who could steal the show Thursday night. We've already covered Damar Hamlin and the fight of his career at safety. But keep your eyes on the wide receiver room too, because Joe Brady's fingerprints are all over it. Beyond the DJ Moore addition, there's Keon Coleman, who insiders believe is primed for a breakout under Brady's system. Khalil Shakir, Josh Palmer. And don't forget about Skylar Bell, banged up for much of camp, but reportedly ready to make his preseason debut Thursday night. Bell was a standout at UConn, and those who covered him there say he's the real deal. If Joe Brady loves anything, it's spreading the football around to multiple weapons and mixing guys inside and outside, which means this receiver room, top to bottom, could be one of the biggest beneficiaries of the new coaching staff all season long. On the Pittsburgh side, all eyes are on Will Howard, as we mentioned, a young quarterback with everything on the line, needing a signature performance to save his roster spot and change the entire trajectory of the quarterback competition heading into Week 1. So here's where things stand as Thursday night approaches. The Buffalo Bills are undefeated in the preseason but carrying Super Bowl expectations heavier than almost any team in the league. The Pittsburgh Steelers are dealing with a potential contract explosion at cornerback, a crowded and unresolved quarterback room, and a 42-year-old starting quarterback who hasn't taken a single preseason snap. And in the middle of it all, individual players, Damar Hamlin, Will Howard, and others, are fighting for the single most important thing in professional football: their job security. This isn't just preseason football anymore, Bills Mafia. This is Judgment Day for a whole group of players hoping to hear their name called when the 53-man roster gets announced. Thursday night from Highmark Stadium, broadcast nationally, will tell us a lot more than any final score ever could. The preseason is almost over. The real roster is about to take shape. And September 13th in Houston is getting closer with every single day. So here's what I need from you. If you're fired up for Thursday night, smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel grow. If you're new here, hit subscribe, because we are covering this Buffalo Bills team all season long. Every game, every roster move, every injury update, every single piece of breaking news, we'll be right here for it. And I want to hear from you down in the comments. Who wins the safety battle, Geno Stone or Damar Hamlin? Is this Bills team built for a real Super Bowl run? Drop your predictions below, and do me one more favor, share this video with another Bills fan. Let's get this in front of as much of Bills Mafia as we possibly can. We are almost back, Bills Mafia. Go Bills! I'll see you in the next one.